No Tuesday curse, no trap game, just a beautiful senior day thrashing.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. It's Isaac Shade with you, coming after you just about half an hour or so after Carolina obliterates Notre Dame on senior night. I'd like to welcome you into this live postcast episode of the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. And I want to tell you, you're joining us at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. Special shout out to all you everydayers who are joining us on a Tuesday night. North Carolina beats Notre Dame 84-51. They run their record to 24-6 overall, 16-3 in ACC play. Regardless of what happens Saturday, that is the best 20-game ACC record that Carolina has had. Already, the Tar Heels finished the home portion of their season 14-1, that lone loss to Clemson after the win at Duke. This is a quad 3 win for Carolina, so it doesn't really move the needle at all. As we record, KenPom has not yet refreshed, although let me check it in real time. Yep, still hasn't refreshed. So we'll see where that lands. Definitely we'll have it by the time Wednesday's show rolls out for us all. Obviously, in the ACC standings, Carolina has clinched at least a share of the ACC championship. That's the first time since the 2018-19 season. And boy, what a 4 years it's been. Great job by Carolina to get back since then. This is the 33rd ACC championship of some kind. Previously, Carolina has 21 outright championships, 11 shared championships. Obviously, we will find out on Saturday which variety this one is going to be. Obviously, we know we all want it to be an outright championship. So here's how this goes. On our live postcast, what we do is I'm going to give you about 4 things to think about. We'll do an ad read, 4 more things, and then we'll go to the comments and get your observations, your questions, and see what we want to do there. And then after we wrap up, Coach Pat Kilby and I are going to hop on together and record Wednesday's show. So make sure you tune in for that as well. There is no other place to start but here. It was senior day, and North Carolina rolled out a starting lineup of Armando Bacot, RJ Davis, and beyond that, there was questions because there were 7 Tar Heels being honored on senior night, notably not Jalen Withers. There's been a lot of debate about what that means. Is he definitely coming back? Why isn't he being honored, etc.? My thought right now is that it means he's coming back, but obviously we'll wait and see on official word. But outside of Armando and RJ, there was a 5-some of Cormac Ryan, Paxton Wojcik, Dewey Ferris, Creighton Lebo, and Rob Landry. And I had postulated on today's show, actually, that it would be the usual starters, the 3 that are always in the starting lineup, Armando, RJ, and Cormac, plus I thought Paxton Wojcik and Creighton Lebo. But that's not what Coach Davis did. Coach Davis went with Armando Bacot, RJ Davis, and Dewey Ferris, and Creighton Lebo, and Rob Landry. And you know what? That was the only right way to do this. That was the exact way that Coach Davis and the staff should handle this, and they got it 100%. Right. This was the right call. Why? These are the 5 guys that have been with the program their entire career. So all due respect to Cormac and to Paxton, but they get it, right? They defer to the 5 guys that have been Tar Heels for the entirety of their Carolina career. Just very, very well done by the Carolina coaching staff. I love that this is part of the Tar Heel tradition. I love that Coach Davis has carried it on. It is a special thing. And who cares if you get down by 4 points or something? The energy that comes from that is just special and is something that in particular, Rob and Dewey and Creighton will remember for the rest of their lives. And by the way, it's not like Carolina was down. When those guys went to the bench, the Tar Heels had a 2-0 lead. You'll take it. But man, like, let's just use this moment to reflect a little for just a moment on RJ and Armando. And there'll be lots of time to do that later. I don't know about you folks. As they checked out, man, I found myself getting emotional. And, you know, the camera panned to Roy Williams. He just looked like a proud dad, and seeing those guys hug their teammates and coaches. both RJ and Armando are guys that have been with this program through up and down and side to side and everything else, from the end of Coach Williams' tenure to the beginning of Coach Davis's tenure, through COVID to not making the tournament last year to making the national champion, ending Coach K's career, all of that. And not to mention, on this night, when Carolina obliterates Notre Dame, RJ was plus 43 and Armando was plus 37. That is bonkers. All right, number two, as we get into this, one of the big questions things in our Four Corners preview from today's show is that I said, look, expect a low-scoring game. Notre Dame has only gotten to 80 twice this season, and they've only allowed 80 twice this season. And meanwhile, they're holding their opponents to, the mid-60s, basically. And so I was like, look, Carolina just needs to be ready to dive in, guard well, and then score efficiently when they get their shots. Well, you've seen the final score. You know what happened. Carolina becomes just the third team to score 80 or more points against Notre Dame this season, scoring the second most points that Notre Dame has surrendered. The most was 88. But let's be honest, if Carolina wanted more than 88, they could have gotten more than 88 because they, brought in the reserves with still it was like right after the under 4 timeout. And so, yeah, absolutely. It was a name your score kind of moment. But Carolina's offense, man, it was humming. You felt it from the very beginning as RJ's shot just looked smooth. Cormac hit his first 3 and man, things were off and rolling. You love it. Again, this is a game where you expected low scoring and you wind up with 5 Tar Heels in double figures. RJ Davis, Armando Bacot, Cormac Ryan, Harrison Ingram, and Jalen Washington all had double figures in this game. You love to see, what is the phrase that we've been talking about? Because everybody's been asking, scoring balance. This is a game where RJ Davis gets to 22 and still 5 Tar Heels are get to double digits. You love to see it. That is great scoring balance. And man, Carolina just went on so many runs in this game critically. And we'll talk more about this on the full show tomorrow. But you think back to that first half, there was a moment where the Tar Heels were up 18-16. They kind of, I forget in real time. Oh, Armando missed a dunk and they get a run out with their young stud, Marcus Burton, who takes kind of an ill-advised 3 in transition when they had a 2-on-1 opportunity for a layup that would have tied the game. Instead, he misses. Carolina comes down. RJ hits a 3, gives a 5-point lead, and then Tar Heels go on a run right there to begin ultimately pulling away, and it was never close again. Or the second half, and look, this is what happens in blowouts like this, and we'll talk about Carolina's ability to close because boy, did they do it well in this one. But as happens in a game where you get up to a 30-point lead, there was a natural, things got a little bit sloppy midway through the second half, whatever you expect that. I'm not fretting that at all. But as soon as the lead got down to 20, I think it was 66-46, the Tar Heels go on an 18-0 run. And then from there, I don't even remember how much time was left at that point, but Notre Dame only scored 5 more points the rest of the game. Unbelievable stuff from Carolina to score as much as they did, go on runs like they did, kill shots all over the place. Great stuff. Number 3 on our, as we begin to look at this game and quick reactions to it, RJ Davis, assist man. Now, look, I know he was the leading scorer in this game, which, that's what you expect from him. He's wearing the pink shoes that have his 2 highest scoring games in his career ever. And RJ did have a very good scoring game. He was super efficient early in the first half. He was like 5 of 7, but finishes with 22 points, 9 of 15 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3. That gets him up to 96 threes now, by the way. Missed his only free throw attempt, surprisingly enough. It would have been a 4-point play. 4 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal. Unbelievable stuff from RJ. But here's what I want to point out is RJ the assist man in this game. RJ Davis had 6 assists and just 1 turnover. And this is not an anomaly. This is what RJ has been doing lately, because you look back at what he's done in recent games. This is now the 6th time in the last 9 games where RJ has at least 5 assists. The 7th time in the last 9 games where he has at least 3 assists. And in that stretch, those 6 games where he's had 5 assists, 1 turnover, 1 turnover, 2 turnovers, 3 turnovers, 0. So RJ, man, is doing like this is what everyone talks about as the scoring. But this dude is a superstar who legitimately does it all. And folks, again, please, please, please make sure you are appreciating RJ Davis, because this might have been the last time you ever see him in the Smith Center. I hope not, but if it is, I get it and I understand it, and we celebrate this man. Speaking of individual performances, man, I was just really one of the things that we also talked about in our Four Corners preview was controlling the emotion of senior day. And I thought, frankly, Carolina handled that quite well. But even beyond just like all of that, Cormac Ryan had the mixed in thing of playing his former team. And I know it's a new head coach. It's Micah Shrewsbury. It's not Mike Bray. And a lot of new players, but some similar players, some same staff and other things like that. And I was just so glad that Cormac was able to have a good game. He hit 2 threes, one really early in the first half, and then he started the scoring in the second half, pushing it to a 20-point margin for the first time. But for the game, he was 4 of 9 from the field, got to the free throw line a lot. I loved his aggressiveness and attacking. Notre Dame's a team that doesn't allow teams to get to the free throw line very often, but Cormac was determined to get there. Finishes with 14 points, but also had 5 rebounds, had an assist, 0 turnovers. I mean, it's just, those are the things you're looking for. And plus 22 from Cormac. And so, man, it just made me so happy for him to be able to have a really solid game against his former team. And he didn't have to do a ton, but he did enough to have a critical and big impact, was aggressive, but was able to knock shots down. Really good stuff from Cormac Ryan there. All right, we got more that we want to get to and talk. Speaking of threes, hello, what's up, Biggs? Knocking a few down, and those turnovers, Carolina didn't commit many of them. We're going to talk about all of that coming up in just a second. But before we carry on, I do need to tell you about our good friends at FanDuel. Hey, North Carolina, I know you're sick of hearing it, but the wait really is almost over, because FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Tar Heel State literally next week on Monday, March 11th. You'll finally be able to bet on all your favorite teams in all your favorite sports. With FanDuel, there's tons of ways for you to get in on the action. You can bet on everything from the money line to over-unders to which team will win the Tobacco Road rivalry coming up on Saturday. All of that on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, with live betting, you can even pick which player will get the next basket, or the one after that, or the one after that. So come see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon so that you can be the first to know when FanDuel goes live in North Carolina. Once again, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, as we get back into it, we got to get the box score pulled up for those of you that are watching. If you're listening back to this, welcome into you audio folks as well. Obviously, you can pull up the box score wherever you are and look at this as well. Y'all, here's where I want to go next. I talked about RJ's 4 threes. I talked about Cormac Ryan's 2 threes. But you know who else knocked them down? Armando Bacot, 2 of 2. Jalen Washington, 2 of 2. The combination of Armando and Jalen Washington were 4 of 4 from the 3-point line. And they all looked, I mean, we kind of expect it from Jalen because he's got such a good touch. But man, the fact that he knocked him down both, but Armando, man, stepped into him confident. You loved it. I love that Armando's second one was literally right as he was about to get pulled. I'm curious to hear back, like if that was a play called for him to get a 3, or if it was just like, look, I'm coming out. Let's do it. We're up 80 million points. Why not hoist one more 3 here in the Smith Center? So that's one of those things that Armando Bacot's last shot in the Dean Dome was a 3 that he drilled. I mean, it was beautiful. Come on with that. I love it so much. But anyway, great job from Armando and Jay Wash knocking down those 3s. Big time for them. Next thing here on the back end, point number 6 we're getting to is the turnovers in this game. Notre Dame finishes committing 12 of them. You love to see that. Great job by Carolina, just getting to the ball and forcing it out. Carolina had half of those were steals from the Tar Heels. But here's what I really love. Carolina's been doing a really good job of limiting their turnovers. In fact, all season long, I mentioned it, I think it was on Monday's show, but if the Tar Heels, like if the season finished today, the Tar Heels would have a Ken Palm era low 14.5% turnover ratio. They've in the Ken Palm era, which goes back to the 98-99 season, they've never been under 15% turnover rate. But right now they are. I'm curious. Let's look again in real time. If Ken Palm has updated. Carolina is basically still in the same spot, 9th overall, 25th in offense, and 6th in defense. But that turnover percentage, because of the performance on Tuesday night, has gone down even further. The Tar Heels turnover percentage now is 14.3%. Unreal stuff. That's 23rd in the nation. So while Carolina isn't setting the world on fire sharing the ball, their team assisted turnover ratio is incredible because the turnovers are so low. So in this game in particular, Carolina committed only 6. And here's what's wacky. The Tar Heels had 2 turnovers in their first 3 possessions. And so I wrote it down like right at the beginning there. One of them was right before the starters, the senior day starters checked out. There was an errant pass, and then I forget what it was, but like the next possession or something like that, there was another turnover. So I was like, boy, this could be a long turnover day. But after that, the Tar Heels only committed 4 more turnovers the rest of the game. So that second one probably came at 18 something of the game. That means for like the last 37 minutes of the game, Carolina only had 4 turnovers. You love to see it. And that's what you got to do. Again, against a young but talented team that's trying to pick up a road win, Carolina shut it down. Next, number 7. 2 more, and then we'll get to questions and stuff like that from the live chat. Can't wait to see what you all are talking about. I just want to say again that Harrison Ingram has been an unbelievable revelation for this team. I wish he had been a Tar Heel his whole career. I wish he had said yes and come here instead of Stanford. But look, he's in Chapel Hill now, and we'll take it. I don't know if he'll be back next year, but boy, I hope he will, because he just does so much to impact winning. And I love pointing this out, even on a day where Harrison Ingram struggled to shoot the basketball. He was 5 of 16 from the field, 1 of 8 from 3, and it just didn't look as good as it normally is. But had 11 points, didn't go to the free throw line at all, had a double-double, 11 points, 14 rebounds, man. That dude is relentless. He has a nose for the ball. He's got active hands. He's tipping balls away. He had 14 rebounds, as I said. 6 of them were offensive. As one of the stats I keep is offensive rebound percentage, but I also specifically keep as part of that because typically people don't take free throw offensive rebounds into consideration when they look at it. But Carolina had 6 missed free throws in the game, and only 5. One of them was the front end of a 2-shot free throw. So there were only available rebounds on 5 of them. Carolina got the offensive rebound on 3 of those. And if I remember correctly, 2 of them were directly because of Harrison Ingram getting his hands on the ball. Here's the other thing that Harrison Ingram did. Again, not shooting well. So what does he do? Doles out 4 assists. And you know how many times he turned the ball over as part of that? 0. Goose egg, none. Harrison Ingram, man, is just an absolute dude. Another guy that had a massive plus minus in this game, plus 23. You absolutely love to see it. And so just, again, he's another major part of why Carolina is doing what they're doing, and just wanted to point him out. Finally, the 8th thing that I want to mention, and this is before we get to looking at the live chat, is that critically, because Carolina took care of business, because they extended the lead, because they didn't, falter down the closing part of either half, they, as you look at the final box score, nobody, and I mean nobody, not RJ Davis, not Harrison Ingram, nobody played more than 31 minutes. RJ played 31, Cormac played 31, Harrison played 31. But outside of that, Armando played 26, Elliott played 24, Seth had 16, Jalen Washington 11, and then it was just spread out from there. Man, that is great, because this is almost like now you get so much more recovery, as Duke played last night, right? So they've got on Monday night, on Big Monday at NC State. And so they've got an extra 24 hours to get ready for Saturday, as opposed to the Tar Heels. But because of this, now Carolina is going to, just have a little bit more legs in them as they get going towards Saturday. And so that is really, really important for the Tar Heels. Part of that is that the bench did a really nice job when they were in, contributing to this win in some really positive ways. So you love to see that. Okay, very good stuff there. What we're going to do now is move on and look at the live chat and see. I'm going to keep the box score up for those of you who are watching as we go there. But man, I want to see what we've got in the live chat. Some questions, some observations. Lots of people talking about the Tuesday curse being broken. You love to see it. This is the fifth win in a row now for Carolina? Yeah. That's great stuff there. Okay, as we keep looking through this, Emily Van Pocky asks, RJ has ACC Player of the Year. How about National Player of the Year? And I this is a question that a lot of people that we want to talk about, because we see RJ, we know what he's doing, we know what a great season it is. But here's the thing. Zach Edey has this thing locked up. It just is what it is. I know a lot of people are like, but Zach Edey is just big, and he is. But he is a dominant college basketball player, and there shouldn't be any voter fatigue. However, let me say this. Yes, RJ has sewn up the ACC Player of the Year. Votes for anyone else is malpractice. And I know there will be votes from other people. I think he should be unanimous. He won't be, just because people are silly and they don't do what they're supposed to do. Fine, whatever. But I legitimately do think that RJ will get some National Player of the Year votes. I think Dalton Knecht from Tennessee, who we saw up close and personal earlier this year, will get some votes. But I think those are probably your top three in the National Player of the Year race, and that's what it is. And so that's great stuff. So great question, Emily. Mass Words, this is our guy Mark. What's up? Mass Words says Ingram doesn't want to share the ACC. Man, I love this. Carolina clinches today a share of the ACC, but these guys are not content. They will not say, oh, good, look what we did. Oh, let's rest and sit back and revel in our awesomeness. No. And I love it because, as Mark says here, I think Harrison has been the single most vocal player about, we want to win this thing outright. This is a goal that we all care a ton about as a team. And so I know Duke's been playing well, but this is a Carolina team that is going to roll into Durham on Saturday and be ready to put up a dogfight inside Hansborough Indoor Stadium. So you just be ready for that, because I'm right with you, Mark. Man, it's going to be really, really good stuff. Sean Ford, what's up, Sean? It's good to see you. Sean's always in the live chat, kind of each morning as the YouTube version of the show premieres. So Sean, what's up? Great to see you. Sean says, a total game. We are scary good when we are firing on all cylinders. And here's the thing. Andrew Jones from Tar Heel Illustrated wrote a really good article a day or two ago about, maybe Carolina just is what they are, of like, they're just they're really good, but they're really scrappy. They do what they need to do, but just isn't like 09 level blitz you kind of team. Isn't 05 level blitz you kind of team that just annihilates people. I know the 2012 team didn't win, but like that level. Maybe they are what they are, and they're not going to put together like a super duper complete 40 minutes. And as Sean has said here, this might have been the performance. Maybe the Tennessee game was a little bit more complete, although down the stretch of the second half. Now, part of that is Dalton Knecht just got going. But you think about some of those kind of performances, and I know Notre Dame is clearly not the best team by any stretch of the imagination Carolina has played all year. But y'all, they've been cooking with that new lineup they've been using, and Carolina just put it on them. So if this isn't the best performance all around of the season, it's got to be top three when you consider the context of what's at stake by winning versus losing this game, by when you think about the senior night and everything that entails, being able to handle all that and then go do this, man, you love to see it. So that's great stuff, man. And so let's keep scrolling, find a couple other questions and observations to keep going through here. Derek Thies, what's up, Derek? Derek's always with us, says, I feel like Cormac attacked the basket more than he has all year. We talked about that just a little bit ago here on the show, but I bring this up because I like Derek's question here at the end. Do you think this is a trend that will continue? Derek, I'll put it this way. I think it's a trend that certainly should continue because as Cormac has been hitting from outside more consistently, what you see is teams now have to get up into him a little bit more. What does that do? You saw him multiple times. It wasn't just straight line drives, gets a kick out, pump fake, gone, right? And lots of the Tar Heel perimeter players did that on Tuesday nights. And so, Derek, this is a great question. And so I certainly hope it will continue because that's the other thing. When he pump fakes drives, what happens? The opposition has to close in on him, and then he can kick out and find other guys as well. And so, man, that I'm right with you, Derek. This is a trend that needs to continue for that. Nintendo says they 100% called that last three for Mondo. I asked about like if that was the play that was drawn up. Yeah, I love to see it. Dale Christianer asks, why wasn't Withers honored as a senior? So for those who are unaware, Jalen Withers, this is actually his 5th year in college. He was at Louisville 4 years, redshirted his first year. So this is his 4th year playing. And so because of the red shirt, he was in college when the COVID eligibility was granted. And so even though this is his 5th year in college, it's only his 4th year playing. And so technically he very much could utilize just kind of like RJ could utilize that COVID eligibility next season. Him not being honored is a clear indication that some sort of decision has been made. I do not believe that decision would be, I'm leaving for the NBA, because if so, then we should have honored him tonight. To me, this is an indication that Jalen Withers has already stated internally that he's coming back. And that like, hey, let's hold off. I'll do it next year. Because one of the things that Coach Davis said on Monday's ACC wrap up was, hey, we're going to honor RJ Davis tonight, but don't read anything into it because he and I haven't had any conversations yet. Well, I'm going to wait till after the season to talk with him about his plans to use his COVID eligibility. And so very similarly, last year, Armando went through senior day activities, decided to come back for year 5. Again, 2 years ago, Leaky, same thing, went through senior day activities and came back. So everything's on the table there for RJ. Now, there could certainly be other reasons why Jalen didn't go through senior day activities, but I'm just saying the most obvious answer is that he's already stated his intention to come back. So that's where I'm at on that. Multiple people have said in here, it stinks that Harrison didn't shoot well, but boy, he's saving it up for Duke. Do y'all remember how he shot against Duke in round 1? I would love to see that again. Really, really good stuff. Ooh, Clay Allison says the defense on Burton was unreal. So folks, if you're unaware, Marcus Burton, who is Notre Dame's point guard, is kind of the odds-on favorite to win ACC Rookie of the Year. I know Jared McCain will get some votes from Duke. He's really nice. Remember Bub Christensen from that's not his name, Carrington, from Pitt. He's a dynamic guard himself. But Marcus Burton is this little kind of diminutive guard who is, I think the word I used on today's show, a dynamo. And what I loved was, look, you saw how quick he is. There was a play where he just scooted by Harrison Ingram in the first half, just got around him, got to the rim and finished. But Carolina did a nice job on him. You saw RJ take some time on him. I loved getting the length of Seth Trimble on him at times, but the single play that highlighted it for me was there was a play where Carolina switched on the perimeters. They were doing, RJ was matched up on Marcus Burton. He sent the shot clock was starting to wind down a little bit. He sensed that the screen was coming, and so instead of allowing, because what a defender's trying to do is, if you've got separation between your man, the ball handler, the screener wants to come screen you and have that space. You as a defender want to get all up in the ball handler so that they can't do that. So RJ senses that. He scoots up on Burton. Burton tries to spin. RJ picks it, gone for the layup. And I think that came immediately after that play we talked about earlier where Burton had taken that transition three, missed, and then RJ hit the three to give Carolina a 5-point lead. I think this was the very next play or soon after that to open up the lead then to 7. And then as you look at Burton's stat line, he had 9 points. Good stuff. But he needed 11 shots to get there. He was 3 of 11 from the field, 0 of 3, 3 of 4 at the free throw line, had 4 assists, but also had 4 turnovers. And so Carolina, really nice job on Notre Dame's leading scorer who averages 17 points a game, held him to 9. So yes, 100% Clay Allison. You love to see what that happened. Here's another one from our guy, Masswords. Mark says, is my guy Seth the 6th man of the year? Is that a thing? Well, first off, yes, it absolutely is a thing. It is an award that the ACC votes on. And so there are certainly great 6 men around the league, but if Seth isn't it, he's got to be top 3 and he's got to get votes. It's something I haven't stopped to process the players around the league that could be in contention for this. But I mean, he's got to be in that conversation. And so that, Mark, that's something I need to go back and do. And then obviously we'll find out next week. The voting will happen immediately after the regular season ends on Saturday. And then I think, if I remember correctly, the voters have to have their votes in like pretty quickly after the regular season ends on Saturday. So we should find out, like the women's tournament starts this week. We already know the ACC player of the year is Kitley from Virginia Tech. So Mark, we'll find out about that later on. Ooh, Abraham Clafter. Oh, it's great to see you, Abraham. We checks in sometimes. I love bringing this up when we get to. Might I remind all of you that RJ Davis didn't even make first or second preseason ACC team. And Abraham says, crazy that he didn't. Oh, it just makes me so happy. I met like literally the show the very next day. I went all in on the ACC voters for this. Like the audacity to not have RJ Davis on this team. When you see what with Caleb leaving, how do you not see that RJ is going to go bonkers? And not only that, not only was he left off, this man winds up, he is your ACC player of the year. At this point, he could not even play Saturday against Duke and he'd still win this award. That's where it's at. And so, man, I love this for RJ. What a turnaround. And still, how on earth did he get left off those teams? I just do not understand it in any way. But glad he's going to get his cookies and his flowers and all that here at the end. And so great stuff. I know there's more questions, lots more good stuff. But we need to get out of here because I got to go hop on with Coach Pat Kilby and record tomorrow's show. So that'll do it here for today or for tonight's live postcast. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to be together. As always, make sure you tune in to tomorrow's show, Wednesday, for Coach Pat Kilby and I. Thursday, Coach Rob and I will have our usual show. We'll start turning our attention towards Duke at that point. Also, on Thursday, we're going to have a bonus episode. Andy Bagwell, the author of Duke Sucks and Duke Still Sucks, joins me for a conversation. We've already recorded that. It was super fun. And then Friday, obviously, we'll get ready for the Duke game. So lots of great stuff coming up later this week. But for now, I want to remind you, by the way, if you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community, you're missing out. Come join us. The link is in the show notes. It's free. We'd love to have you. Y'all, it is always a great day to be a Tar Heel, especially on a day when an ACC championship has been won. But there's more of that to wrap up. We're going to do that on Saturday. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.